Stop whatever task currently has your attention, because what I'm about to reveal could redefine the course of your future. If you let these words reach you deeply, they might set you on a path of transformation so significant that a decade from now, you won't even recognize the person you once were. But if you dismiss them, if you choose comfort and distraction over awakening, then 10 years may pass and you'll still be standing exactly where you are now, stagnant, uncertain, and frustrated that nothing truly changed. Just a few days ago, I witnessed something that made this truth painfully clear. A man stood there, explaining himself for nearly half an hour to someone who did not even value his presence. He bent over backward for recognition from someone who offered no respect in return, and while I watched, it hit me. This isn't an isolated case. This kind of scene plays out constantly, every single day. Men begging for validation from people who couldn't care less about their worth. Maybe you found yourself in that position. Maybe you recognize the same pattern in your own life. Maybe you are tired of always being underestimated, overlooked, and treated like your existence carries no weight. Understand this clearly. The confidence you feel lacking isn't missing because you were born defective. You weren't created insecure. You were molded that way. You were conditioned to shrink yourself, trained to stay within lines drawn by others, instructed to keep yourself controllable, predictable, and easy to manage. Society has programmed men to live small, to bend when they should stand tall. Yet centuries ago, one man broke through the illusions and saw the machinery of power for what it really was. He didn't waste time with polished words or social niceties. He identified the raw, unfiltered principles that decide who rises and who stays invisible. That man was Niccolò Machiavelli, though many know him by the name Machiavelli. He wrote not about fantasies, but about the practical, unsentimental truths that create influence, control, and victory. He laid out the blueprint for becoming someone who cannot be ignored, someone who cannot be stopped. What I'm talking about is the transformation into a type of man who, when he enters a room, instantly commands attention without having to shout for it. A man whose single statement silences noise because people instinctively lean in to listen. A man whose boundaries are not invitations for negotiation, but immovable lines that others learn never to cross. This is about becoming an individual who cannot be intimidated, who refuses to be manipulated, who will not be dismissed. It's about embodying a presence so steady that respect flows naturally toward you. Such a man doesn't play by the fragile rules written for average people. He operates from a higher plane, with his own code. And over the next few minutes, I will give you a set of principles, 8 timeless laws, that will change you from someone invisible to someone unforgettable, from a man who asks for approval to one who commands respect, from a person waiting for luck to one who prepares relentlessly for greatness. But be warned, once these truths are revealed to you, there is no turning back. You cannot erase the knowledge once it reshapes your mind. You cannot return to ignorance once you've seen how power actually functions. When you become unstoppable, the version of you that could be stopped no longer exists. Right now, declare this out loud or write it down. I refuse to be restrained. I refuse to be silenced. I refuse to be stopped. So I ask you, are you ready to become unstoppable? Let's begin. The first principle is to transform your inner self. Inside of you right now, there are 2 competing versions. One is hesitant, apologetic, and addicted to seeking approval from everyone else. The other is firm, assured, and respected without having to beg for it. Every single day, with each choice you make, you are strengthening one while starving the other. Every moment, you either empower weakness or you empower confidence. It is time to starve the voice of uncertainty and nourish the one that radiates certainty. The hesitant self was manufactured by your upbringing. That insecure voice was taught to always be nice, even when others show you blatant disrespect. It's the part that makes you say sorry when you did nothing wrong. The part that drives you to explain yourself endlessly to people who should be explaining themselves to you. This insecure identity was formed early. Parents told you to be a good boy. Teachers demanded obedience. Society wanted you pliable. easy to guide, easy to silence. But compliant men don't build legacies. They don't carve empires. They fade quietly into the background and get forgotten. That timid self has been calling the shots your entire life, and it's why you keep tolerating things you shouldn't. It's why you let people disrespect you without consequence. It's why you give out endless second chances even when they're undeserved. It's why you've been taught to put everyone else's comfort ahead of your own dignity. But here's the secret. Your uncertain self doesn't want you to know. Every time you allow someone to trample on your boundaries, you are silently teaching them that your boundaries mean nothing. Every time you go out of your way to be kind to people who have shown you no respect, you are in reality being cruel to yourself. You may think you're maintaining peace, but in truth, you are choosing self-betrayal. Machiavelli once stated, "He who is not master of himself will always remain a servant to others." That is the harsh truth. The hesitant version of you and the confident version of you speak entirely different languages. One says, "I don't want to hurt their feelings." The other says, "I will not compromise my standards." One says, "Maybe I misunderstood." The other says, "I understood perfectly and I didn't like what I saw." One says, "I'll give them one more chance." The other says, "Their chance has already been spent." The change isn't about becoming harsh or cruel. It's about being strategic. The timid voice explains why a line exists. The confident voice enforces the line without justification. The timid self analyzes disrespect. The confident self responds with consequences. The timid self excuses wasted time. The confident self protects time like it's the most valuable resource on earth. So you need to become deeply aware of which voice you are feeding when you act. When you start to apologize for something that isn't your fault, stop and recognize it. That's the timid self trying to control the steering wheel again. When you feel tempted to over-explain yourself to someone who owes you an apology, recognize it. That's insecurity asking for approval. And when those moments appear, you must consciously choose differently. This isn't about anger, it's about clarity. You must choose strength over people-pleasing, respect over shallow likability, influence over fleeting popularity. The hesitant part of you will resist. It will whisper reminders of the people who may dislike this new version of you. It will replay every time you tried to be bold and stumbled. It will try to convince you that power and influence make you unkind. Let it resist. Let it scream. Let it fight. Transformation is never smooth. But when the uncertain version fades, what emerges is a man who doesn't apologize for existing, a man who doesn't shrink himself to make others comfortable, a man who doesn't ask for respect but receives it naturally. Say it now. My hesitant self is dissolving. My confident self is rising. The second principle is this: create a fortress mind. Your mental state can either be the greatest weapon in your arsenal or the chain that keeps you stuck in mediocrity. Most men are walking around with minds as fragile as glass, shattering at the first sign of pressure. Right now, for many, the inside of the mind is chaos. Every criticism cuts deeply. Every minor failure feels like catastrophe. Every challenge triggers panic. This is why you stay trapped, because your emotions are in control, dragging you like wild horses wherever they choose. Today, that ends. You're going to build a mental fortress so resilient that no outside event can shake its foundation. A fortress mind doesn't react impulsively. It doesn't waste time in emotional chaos. It processes everything with cold clarity. When someone criticizes you, you don't crumble. You analyze the critique, and in doing so, you learn more about their motives than about your own worth. When someone fails you, you aren't shocked. You simply confirm what your instincts already suspected. When someone tries to manipulate you, it isn't evidence of your weakness. It is evidence of their desperation. Most men remain slaves to their feelings. They get angry and lash out, making destructive decisions. They get hurt and withdraw, making weak choices. They get scared and freeze, making no choice at all. But a man with a fortress mind is untouchable. Emotions become signals, not masters. Anger tells him a boundary has been crossed. Pain tells him someone has revealed their true colors. Fear tells him growth is around the corner. He learns to separate himself from the chaos of the moment. He realizes that when people mistreat him, they are exposing themselves, not defining him. Machiavelli once noted, "A wise man acts in the present, shaping the future." The fortress mind prepares for challenges. It expects betrayal, setbacks, resistance, not because it's pessimistic, but because it's prepared. And when you expect obstacles, you're no longer devastated by them. Disappointment becomes manageable. Success becomes a welcome surprise. This fortress, you must train your perception to look for patterns rather than isolated incidents. If someone lied once, assume lying is part of who they are. If someone gossips with you about others, understand they likely gossip about you with others. If someone disrespected you once when they thought they could get away with it, know that they'll do it again if you allow it. Every conversation, every interaction, every conflict teaches you something about people. Study it, catalog it, learn from it, practice emotional intelligence. When anger rises, pause and ask, what is this really teaching me? When pain strikes, step back and ask, what pattern is repeating here? When fear whispers, look it in the eye and ask, what new strength am I about to develop? A fortress mind doesn't erase emotion, it masters it. You still feel, but feelings no longer dictate your choices. Your logic, your strategy, your clarity lead the way. Most men have fragile minds that splinter under pressure, but you are building something indestructible. You are creating a fortress that no storm can breach. Declare it, my mind is my fortress. My thoughts are my weapons. The third principle is mastering the art of silence. The loudest voice in the room is almost always the most insecure. He shouts because he fears being ignored. He explains because he doubts his worth. He argues because he's desperate for validation. You must become the opposite. Silence is the highest proof of confidence. When you stop over-explaining, everything changes. People respect you more. They stop questioning your decisions. They stop poking at your limits. They start treating you as someone who knows more than they do, because you actually do know something. They don't. You know that your value doesn't depend on their approval. You owe no one a justification for your choices, your standards, or your boundaries. The moment you start explaining yourself to those who challenge you, you hand them power over you. Think of the most powerful men you know. Do they argue endlessly with everyone who questions them? Of course not. They decide, they act, they move on. Machiavelli once wrote, "The lion does not need to roar to be feared." Silence is magnetic. It makes people wonder what you know, what you're planning, what you're capable of. They assume you're strategic. They imagine you're powerful. They give you credit for strength you haven't even shown. But here's the key. When you do speak, your words must carry impact. Because you've been silent, people listen with intensity. Because you don't waste words, every word weighs heavily. Because you refuse to over-explain, when you finally speak, everyone leans in. Practice this starting now. When someone accuses you unjustly, don't defend yourself. Stay calm, watch them unravel. When someone demands explanations, you don't. Oh, don't explain. Simply say no. When someone drags drama to your feet, don't feed it. Step away and watch what happens. People who expect your reactions will suddenly lose their power. They'll try harder to provoke you. When you don't respond, they either back down or expose themselves further. Either way, you win. Silence also protects you from regret. How many men have destroyed relationships, careers, or reputations with words they wished they could take back? The silent man never faces that problem. He only speaks when speaking strengthens his position. He withholds when words would weaken it. Let others waste breath. You conserve power. Silence creates presence. Presence creates influence. And influence creates control. Declare this now. My silence is louder than their noise. And now we arrive at the fourth principle. Turning setbacks into strength. The sooner you accept this truth, the less pain you will carry. People will let you down. Friends will betray you for their own gain. Partners will sacrifice loyalty for profit. Loved ones will sometimes fail you when you need them most. This isn't cynicism. This is reality. The difference is how you respond. Many men move through life without questioning the way they place trust. They hand over their loyalty too easily, assuming smiles equal sincerity and friendliness equals integrity. Instead of carefully observing how people truly behave, they confuse politeness with genuine character. And when reality eventually strikes them in the form of betrayal or disappointment, they collapse under the weight of it. They sit stunned, unable to comprehend how someone could treat them so poorly. They replay memories endlessly, dissecting conversations to see what signals they overlooked. Weeks turn into months as they dwell on the sting of betrayal, wasting time in rumination instead of growth. But that won't be your story. You're going to be different. You will not crumble when someone shows you who they really are. You will expect challenges. You will treat disappointment not as a wound, but as a lesson, fuel that strengthens your path forward. Every setback, every betrayal, every letdown becomes a form of information. Information that shows you the raw truth about human nature. When the mask slips, when false kindness fades, disappointment exposes what words tried to hide. It forces you to see people not as they present themselves, but as they actually are under pressure. It trains you to read character beyond superficial charm. Each disappointment is not simply pain, it's also a gift. Before it, you may have been confused, unsure about where someone's loyalty stood. But after, you are no longer uncertain. Their actions clarify their truth. The pain becomes clarity, and clarity is priceless. Centuries ago, Machiavelli put it plainly. Men are fickle, self-serving, and changeable. The one who truly grasps this never reacts with shock when betrayal arrives. Instead, he designs his life and strategies with the knowledge that people usually serve their own interests first. He develops backup plans for the day when allies drift away. He never builds his entire success on another's shoulders. Here's the secret most men miss. Disappointment is evidence of your rising value. People do not betray those they see as beneath them. They betray upward. They let down those who are becoming significant, those who have something worth envying, those who represent a higher level of growth. When people disappoint you, it means you've become someone who matters. It means you've grown into a man whose presence or progress stirs their insecurities. So wear disappointment like armor. Treat it as a badge of honor. Every time it strikes, let it remind you that you're moving upward, not backward. And when it comes, and it will, face it like a strategist. Refuse to burn energy in self-pity. Refuse to drown in hurt feelings. Instead, channel all of that energy into strategic response. Ask yourself, what lesson is here for me? What did this betrayal reveal about my approach? What weakness in my system did it highlight? Sometimes the wisest answer to disappointment is clean separation. No theatrics, no speeches, no dramatic second chances. Simply withdraw your presence. Cut ties as if excising poison from your bloodstream. Their chapter in your story ends quietly, permanently, and completely. At other times, the strongest move is patience. You don't retaliate immediately. You take note, you store the information, you observe, and you wait until the perfect moment arrives. Then, when the timing serves your advancement, you let their unreliability discredit them, not you. This is strategy. This is control. Disappointment becomes your teacher. It trains you to discern who has earned trust and who has earned caution. It forces you to safeguard your vulnerabilities and rely on your own strength rather than dependence on others. The man who has walked through multiple betrayals and still stands taller each time is infinitely stronger than the man who has never been tested. Every letdown graduates you from naive faith to strategic wisdom. Most men, when hurt, grow bitter, shut themselves down, and carry resentment like chains. You will not. You will refine yourself. You will sharpen your perception. You will become selective, not closed. Because the man who has endured betrayal after betrayal and still keeps rising is the man who has become unstoppable. And that leads us to the next truth: silencing your critics through undeniable excellence. Weak men waste themselves battling critics. Someone mocks them, and they rush to defend. Someone doubts them, and they argue endlessly, trying to force belief. They fall into the trap of justifying themselves to people whose opinions never mattered. They give precious time to arguments that don't advance them even a single step. But not you. You will understand that the only true way to answer critics is by excelling so completely that their words collapse under the weight of your results. Critics are not your problem. Your reaction to them is. Every time you argue back, you're granting them status. You're declaring that their judgment is worthy of your time. You're elevating their random commentary to the level of serious evaluation. And most of the time, these voices come from people who have built nothing, risked nothing, achieved nothing. Their criticism is cheap because their lives are cheapened by mediocrity. Why argue with people who've never proven themselves? Stop dignifying bad faith with good faith. Stop treating shallow noise like it deserves profound attention. The path to shutting down critics is not through debate, it's through domination. When your results shine so brightly that no words can obscure them, criticism dies on its own. When your achievements stand undeniable, detractors are left choking on their envy. Machiavelli noted that complaints never change fortune, but overwhelming results can change perception. Excellence suffocates doubt. Consistency smothers gossip. Visible progress drowns out all accusations. So build, advance, focus not on defending your choices but on refining them until the results cannot be ignored. Every hour spent arguing with those who doubt you is an hour stolen from growth. Every explanation you give is energy wasted on people who will never clap for you. Let your work testify. Let your progress answer. Let your achievements silence the noise. Because when you continue to rise, critics shift their posture. Their criticism twists into envy. And envy, at its core, is simply respect they're too proud to express. The man who builds something monumental has no need to explain himself to those who've never built at all. The man who creates a legacy does not trade words with men who've created excuses. The man who commands respect never feels compelled to beg for it. Understand this. Critics will always exist. There will always be voices who doubt, misunderstand, or sneer at your methods. This is not an error to fix. It is the natural cost of standing tall. The solution is not persuasion. It is performance. When they say you can't, you simply do. When they mock your methods, you let the success of those methods speak. When they doubt your future, you let your victories crush their disbelief. Your objective is not to convert them, it is to make their opposition irrelevant. When your dominance becomes undeniable, arguments become unnecessary. This is how you silence critics. Not with rebuttals, but with results. Say it aloud. I silence critics with results, not arguments. Now comes another weapon in your arsenal, controlling your reputation. Every human you encounter forms an impression of you within seconds. That impression shapes the respect they grant, the opportunities they offer, and the influence you wield. Ordinary men leave this entirely to chance. Extraordinary men shape it deliberately. Your reputation is not just your appearance. It is the atmosphere you bring, the aura you project, the stories whispered about you when you're absent. You must master it like a craftsman shaping steel. Resist the urge to talk endlessly. Men of true influence know silence increases gravity. The less you reveal, the more weight your words carry when you do speak. Mystery creates magnetism. Don't pour out your life story in casual conversation. Don't disclose every plan to those who haven't earned your trust. Don't hand your blueprint to competitors. Instead, let others wonder. Let them speculate. Let curiosity work in your favor. Your reputation should precede you like a signal, warning people of your standards and limits before they test them. They should sense your capability before they experience it firsthand. Machiavelli remarked that men judge more by what they see than by what is true. Use this truth. Craft what they see. Stand like you belong in every space. Walk as though no obstacle could slow you. Sit with the composure of a man who knows he is capable even in silence. When turmoil surrounds you, embody calm. When others panic, radiate steadiness. When chaos reigns, remain composed. Consistency in behavior breeds trust. Let people witness the same man whether you're praised or criticized, winning or struggling, in public or in solitude. Your actions shape your legend. When you cut ties, do it with finality. When you take a stand, let it be immovable. When you speak, let it leave impact. And above all, ensure competence is your foundation. Reputation without competence is hollow. Be excellent in your craft. Be dependable when called upon. Be the solution when no one else can solve. This is how your reputation becomes armor. Never let others define you through their shallow perspective. Never let mistakes define your permanent identity. Never let someone else's opinion rewrite your reality. You decide your reputation. You decide your narrative. You decide the legacy attached to your name. Next, embrace excellence as daily discipline. Too many think excellence is about rare moments, the big speech, the dramatic confrontation, the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But real excellence is cultivated in hidden moments no one applauds. It's found in how you rise from bed when laziness tempts you. It's in how you handle minor irritations without losing composure. It's in how you treat those with no power to benefit you. It's in how you act when nobody is watching. These unseen acts forge character. Character shapes destiny, and destiny determines whether you are remembered or forgotten. Comfort is the sworn enemy of excellence. Comfort makes you predictable. Predictability makes you manageable. Manageability makes you forgettable. When you choose comfort, you trade growth for stagnation. You accept average over extraordinary. You accept staying the same instead of reaching higher. Machiavelli himself noted that fortune bends toward those who maintain discipline. Discipline becomes your hidden superpower. Each time you keep your word despite inconvenience, your confidence strengthens. Each time you follow through on what you promised yourself, you reinforce unshakable trust in your own capacity. Build disciplines that solidify your strength. Wake up when you don't want to. Train your body when you feel lazy. Tackle the hardest task first. Keep commitments even when inconvenient. These aren't trivial habits. They are bricks in the fortress of excellence. Every choice of discipline over comfort proves that you govern your emotions, not the other way around. Others will call you excessive, too intense, too strict. Let them. Those who laugh at your rigor will one day seek your help when their undisciplined lives unravel. Let them choose ease. You choose effectiveness. Let them chase pleasure. You chase strength. Excellence is your creed, your ritual, your daily offering. When life tests you, and it will, the disciplined man prevails while the comfortable one falters. Finally, we arrive at the state all of this has been building toward, becoming unstoppable. This is the culmination. This is the transformation that sets you apart permanently. To be unstoppable is to carry an inner power no external force can disrupt. Criticism touches you, but it doesn't shake you. Betrayal reaches you, but it doesn't surprise you. Challenges strike you, but they don't break you. You achieve independence from the need for approval. You master detachment from the opinions of the crowd. This is not cruelty, it is mastery. You still care, but you do not crave validation. You still love, but you do not require reciprocation to feel whole. You still connect, but you no longer need connection to survive. The world will label you confident, self-assured, unyielding. Accept it without defense. When ordinary men cannot understand such strength, they will try to drag you back into their world of doubt and dependency. Never descend. You have transcended. Your influence flows from control over yourself, not control from others. Your strength is born from discipline, not applause. Your victories stem from self-mastery, not external praise. Machiavelli said it best. The man who conquers himself is greater than the mightiest warrior. To be unstoppable is to embody radical self-reliance. You no longer ask permission to pursue your destiny. You no longer wait for cooperation to move forward. You no longer rely on approval to confirm your path. You are not isolated, but you are selective. You choose carefully who deserves your time, energy, and presence. You decide who earns access. You control who influences you. You operate from abundance, never scarcity. You know that options surround you, so you never cling desperately to anyone. You know your strength runs so deep that outside support is optional. You know your character is so solid that judgment cannot sway you, And when you rise to this level, people will test you. They will probe for weakness, search for buttons to push, look for cracks in your armor. Let them waste themselves, trying. They will find nothing. You've already rebuilt yourself piece by piece. You've transformed uncertainty into confidence. You've erected a fortress mind. You've mastered silence. You've turned betrayal into fire. You've stopped showing weakness. You've seized control of your reputation. You've forged discipline into habit. And through all of it, you've become a force beyond containment. Critics will exhaust themselves. Doubters will drain themselves. Manipulators will frustrate themselves. And you will keep advancing, untouched, unbroken, unstoppable. You began this journey as one man. You finish it as another. The shift you've undergone reshapes every area of your life. You've learned the pillars of unshakable influence. You've erased uncertainty. You've built clarity. You've weaponized silence. You've turned wounds into wisdom. You've hidden weakness from the world. You've mastered reputation. You've chosen discipline. And you've become unstoppable. This isn't abstract knowledge, it's transformation. The man who first heard these words is gone. In his place stands a man of command, a man of resilience, a man impossible to ignore. And as soon as you step out into the world, your strength will be tested. Boundaries will be challenged. Old programming will try to drag you back into smallness. But hold the line. You've come too far to retreat. You are no longer the man who gets dismissed. You are the man whose presence shifts the atmosphere. You are no longer the man who pleads for respect. You are the man who naturally receives it. You are no longer a passenger of circumstance. You are the architect of circumstance. You have transformed. You have awakened. You have risen. You are unstoppable. Your mind is fortified. Your silence is sharpened. Your disappointments are fuel. Your weaknesses are hidden. Your reputation is your weapon. Your discipline is your foundation. Your legacy is inevitable. You cannot be restrained. You cannot be broken. You cannot be stopped. The moment you chose transformation over comfort, victory was already yours. The world waits for you. Do not ask for permission. Do not wait for opportunity. Do not hope for favors. Claim everything. This is your time. This is your influence. This is your power. Now go and prove it.